global markets are now flooded with cheaper Chinese electric cars.
In mid-2024, the European Union slapped tariffs of up to 45% on Chinese electric vehicles to protect its domestic auto industry. The result? Chinese EV giant BYD doubled its European sales volume and continued to grow, as we see on 2026, while European automakers lost market share and delivered poor future expectations. The European Commission calculated these tariffs based on a traditional automotive business model. But companies like BYD don't operate on traditional models. They operate on absolute vertical integration. BYD owns the lithium mines, manufactures the battery cells, and literally built its own fleet of roll-on, roll-off cargo vessels to transport the vehicles. They simply absorbed the European tariff. For example, let's compare the cost diagram between BYD's Seal and Tesla Model 3 to understand where does this big margin come from. Apparently, two cars that look almost the same, but when we take a look at the costs, we can see how, because of the vertical integration and of the mass volume the company moves, they can get a bigger price gap and deliver a very competitive car price that can even deal with the tariffs. But absorbing margin compression is a short-term survival tactic, not a long-term strategy. The real counteroffensive was geographical. The tariffs only penalize vehicles manufactured within Chinese borders. To neutralize this, Chinese automakers initiated a massive capital expenditure cycle directly inside Europe and its proxy trade zones. BYD broke ground on a massive production facility in Szeged, Hungary, and secured a billion-dollar plant in Turkey, gaining zero tariff access to the EU customs union. Chery Auto took over an abandoned Nissan plant in Barcelona. By 2026, the vehicles dominating European roads are no longer Chinese imports. They are European assembled vehicles built with Chinese capital. The tariff wall was not breached, it was completely bypassed. But the most glaring paradox of this trade war is the stance of the European automakers themselves. The European Commission launched this tariff to protect its domestic market, yet the executives of these exact companies publicly opposed the measure. Why? Because of structural revenue dependency. German automakers generate roughly 30% of their global net profits directly inside the Chinese market. They manufacture heavily in China, meaning they are now paying EU tariffs to import their own vehicles back home. We are already seeing the fallout. For the first time in its 87-year history, Volkswagen is weighing the closure of domestic manufacturing plants in Germany due to collapsing demand and high operational costs. The tariff didn't protect them, it trapped them. So, how does the market price this geopolitical shift? The capital flows are clear. The losers are legacy European automotive brands burdened by structural inefficiencies. The winners are Chinese original equipment manufacturers, utilizing localized European facilities to bypass customs, and the global Tier 1 suppliers, who pivot their contracts toward these new localized megafactories. We added here two of the main automobilistic indexes across the world, the STOXX Europe 600 Automobile Index and the HSI Electric Vehicles Index from China mainland, so you can compare how since 2025 these indexes are performing. Clearly there's a winner, right? The era of globalized free trade in the automotive sector has officially fractured. The winners of the next decade will not be those protected by regional tariff walls, but those with the capital and vertical integration to build over them. Thank you for your attention on this matter. You can leave some feedback on the comments.